Well, we've been tracking Georgia families struggling to access their SNAP benefits weeks after a systems outage. Now we have obtained emails between the state and the SNAP EBT vendor revealing tension between the two behind the scenes as we press both for answers. Consumer investigator Liza Lucas is digging into those records for us. Liza, what have you found so far?
Good morning, Chesley. Well, both sides seem to be on the same page that on July 28th, so a month from now, a surge of calls flooded the call center, which is the main resource for families to check their benefits. Now, the emails we got our hands on through open records request show the conflict between DHS leaders and Conduent. That is the company that runs Georgia's EBT card system. Now, at the heart of that tension is whether this constitutes a cyber attack. So the state suspected a cyber attack from the start, describing the incident to 11Alive as bots trying to access account information. Conduent's public statement to 11Alive actually seemed to downplay that event, but these newly revealed emails from the vendor to the state ultimately point to this as a brute force attack. So we turn to cyber expert Patrick Kelly to explain that nuance. Take a listen. Brute force attack, what are we talking about there?
Yeah, so how that works is, you have a system that can, answer so many requests per minute, right? And you just keep trying usernames and passwords, you keep calling it over and over again. And the goal is, on one hand, if we're trying to brute force a username and a password, that eventually we'll guess the right password and the username and we'll gain access to a system.
And Chesley, if you gain access to account info, it's not hard to surmise that we know that those criminals can take that info and then steal or drain those SNAP funds, which per the back and forth we've seen in these emails is what drove state leaders' concern.
All right, so in the middle of this fight, families are left without their access. How does that happen?
Exactly. So walking you through what happened, we know and we have previously reported that ultimately the state made the call to shut down that call center. Again, that was kind of the phone line that families really depended on to check on their benefits. Meanwhile, we know thousands of cards were also locked in order to prevent thieves from getting their hands on that money as the situation all unfolded. Now, in order to unlock those cards, you had to have a special app. And we have previously reported that only a small percentage, it was like 6% back in the spring, that's how many people were already using this app. So you can imagine how easily it happened that people were getting these locked cards, unable to unlock them and unable to access their benefits. At the same time, we learned that more than 45,000 cards were replaced. You factor in the time that it takes to get those cards in the mail. And then there were additional problems with activating those new cards because, again, people couldn't use the helpline to call the vendor and they didn't have the app to activate it.
So you've been talking to these people. What were they expressing to you, Liza?
Chesley, every day I get emails. I have an inbox this morning, more emails coming in. People still cannot get in touch with the vendor. This happened July 28th, so we're more than a month out from when this outage occurred. And this has really been a problem for people. And just to kind of quantify it, it's been difficult because we know that tens of thousands of cards were either locked or reissued, but every one of those cards is not a single individual. This could be an entire family. We're talking about grandparents raising grandchildren.
Right.
We're talking about single moms who have children to feed. We're talking about some who have disabilities and have no way to go and make up this income. So this has been a huge hardship on families. This has also been huge in terms of frustration because people just want someone on the phone that they can talk to who can provide answers, and they've not gotten that.
Yeah, it seemed like they would have had a plan before they did this plan to set people up, to get access. So what is the state doing now about it?
Well, we have been pressing for more information. We know that a third party was supposed to be conducting an investigation. I've reached out to Conduent for the updates on that investigation. They continue to point to their original statement, which basically said that this spike in call volume that initiated all this in the first place, it happens all the time when it comes to these call centers. The state has been fairly quiet as of late, so we're going to keep pressing for answers as this all unfolds. I know they have to keep some things tight to the vest because we're talking about criminals trying to steal money here, but we're going to keep pushing for answers as we keep hearing from families who are still having these problems.
Wow. Liza, thanks so much for that insight. I really appreciate that. And yeah, keep coming back and let us know how this all unfolds. Really appreciate it. All right, you can see Liza's full investigation tonight on 11 Live News and on 11 Live Plus. And if you have a tip that you want Liza to investigate, you can call her at 404-873-9111. That's that number right there on your screen. Or you can email her at investigates@11alive.com.